I just did this twice in a row of keep cutting the video off halfway through. Oh my goodness, this is freaking ridiculous. But anyways, this video, project 3.3 after video, I'm going through the whole econ course, pick 20 random questions. I'm actually going to reduce it to 15 because I've gone through them twice now. But anyways, the idea is I'm mixing the first 2/3 as well as the final learned 1/3 of the course, and we're going to see how I do. Okay, we got what's the difference between public finance and public choice? Well, public finance is how government would operate in a perfect economy. So like if they're in a perfect world, it's not going to happen. It's sort of like an idea of like true communism for per se, but more of a liberal perspective. So they study what governments would do in a perfect society. And then public choice recognizes that governments are made of people that make mistakes and have their own opinions and are not going to do exactly what they're supposed to do. So that studies what they actually do and how governments actually operate. What are the responsibilities of government? Wow. Okay, I'll name a few. Redistribute wealth, represent the people, fix market failures, protect the citizens. Yeah, that's honestly good. Like, I guess you could say they regulate basically everything, but it's pretty broad. Why is it difficult to measure the size of government? Oh, thank goodness the charger's right here. It's difficult to measure the size of government, mainly because some people look at it from a GDP standpoint, some people look at it from a size of parliament standpoint, some people look at it as a military expenditure standpoint, but there's just so many factors that go into it, right? So you don't really know what means what, right? So there's just too many factors to have one kind of saying that this government is this big and this government is that big. Why do calamities create larger governments? Well, that would be like, so say the war in Iraq and Afghanistan in the past recent decades in the U.S. Well, the U.S. fought in, obviously not in the U.S., but for example, it employs millions of soldiers, doctors, nurses, technicians, factory workers, government employees, and they're all paid and they're all operating GDP at a higher level than the government normally would if it wasn't for things like that happening. So from a GDP and an economic standpoint, calamities are actually very helpful. What are the two economic systems? Market capitalist and demand socialist. Who is our head of state? Why did I get myself that one again? Justin Trudeau. What is the bulge refer to in economics? Well, the bulge refers to the shift in the 1960s to the late 1980s where Canada, for the first time in modern history, overtook the US in terms of size. So it was due to a lot of things, Canadians changing their taxes and what they gave. Like, there's a lot of cutbacks, right? So in the 60s, Canadians had huge surpluses, so they soared over the Americans, and then late 80s they started cutting taxes because their government was too big, and now they've slowly dropped down. When was Universal Healthcare enacted in Canada, and what was it called? The Medical Care Act, I think. Universal Healthcare Medical Care Act, yes, and that was in 1966. Yep. Outline the principles of an equalization program. Well, the equalization program is basically there's an average set for how much each province should be operating at based on the national GDP output average. So say like a country a province such as Alberta, they're operating at a level much higher than the average GDP. So the government takes that as equalization taxes and gives it back to I don't know, Prince Edward Island, and subsidizes them because they don't have the resources and the availability to make as much money as other provinces do. Okay, we got what is scarcity? It's having to choose among things, right? So no matter where you are, no matter who you are, there's always things you're going to want, and you're never going to be able to have everything. So scarcity is that idea that you always have to choose certain things, right? What is opportunity cost? Opportunity cost is the cost of an item. So say you want How much is it to you to pay for a Big Mac? I don't know. If it costs $6, maybe it's worth $8 to you, so you're going to pay the $6. Maybe it's $5 to you, so you're not going to pay that. Margin opportunity cost is what's the value of the next one. So say you bought a Big Mac and you thought it was worth $6 and you just had a Big Mac and now you're kind of hungry, but you're still a little hungry, right? But you don't want to pay $6 again for a Big Mac. It's not worth as much to you. You're not still hungry. You're not still starving. So maybe it's only worth $40 now. So now you're going to be like, maybe I'll buy a fries, or maybe I'll go buy a salad or something cheaper. What's the value of a good? It's anything you're willing to give up to pay for a good. What is an allocation? An allocation is a description of what one is getting in any transaction. Pareto improvement is any improvement where one party is left off better than before without making any other parties worse off than before. So say me and my sister both have $50 and my mom's like, hey Spence, here's $25. Pareto improvement. She gave me more money. My sister didn't get anything more, but she didn't get anything less. So it's good for everybody. What's a consumer surplus? That's say you're willing to pay $10 for the Big Mac and it only costs $6. So you're basically up $4 because you were willing to pay those, but they're not making you pay that much. So all that extra money that you were willing to spend is considered a surplus. Finally, we got, what is a statutory tax? What is the statutory incidence of a tax? Statutory incidence describes who sends the tax money to the government, and what is the economic incidence is whose surplus is affected by the tax. Alrighty, so this one was honestly the best just because I've already been practicing for a few weeks, so I've just kind of nailed it down, and at this point, like, I'm kind of like set for my finals, so it's good. But yeah, just a lot of studying. I'm kind of happy to have this practice sessions over, but it was good, yeah.